I may ask you what this building is. Probably you may guess this is a hospital. If you thought this is a five-star hotel, I can't blame you. This actually happens to be a cardiac facility in Bangalore, India. This is called NH Hospital. Actually, this is the lobby of this hospital. Certainly looks like a lobby of a five-star hotel. But that's not the point. The point is, in this cardiac facility in Bangalore, an open heart surgery costs $3,000. Open heart surgery in the US, on an average, will cost $150,000. Because open heart surgery in the Bangalore hospital costs 50 times less, that doesn't mean their quality is 50 times inferior. I don't even know how you can do poor quality heart surgery. One measure of quality in a heart surgery is mortality rates 30 days after surgery. For NH Hospital in Bangalore, their mortality rates 30 days after surgery is 1.2%. The US average is about 2%. So their quality is actually on par or even maybe slightly ahead of the US. This is one of the points that I want to drive home. When you do reverse innovation, when you do box 3 innovation in poor countries to convert non-consumers into consumers, it's not about lowering costs, no. It's about offering more for less. It's about offering lot more for lot less. It's about pushing the price-performance paradigm. Counterintuitive as it may seem, the non-consumers in poor countries many times actually demand superior quality than consumers in rich countries. That's certainly true for open heart surgery. Suppose you did an open heart surgery on an American in, say, Mayo Hospital, Mayo Clinic in the US. The quality the surgeon has to have to reduce mortality rate in the US doesn't have to be at the same high level as compared to a surgeon doing the same open heart surgery in Bangalore, India on an Indian. Now, you may wonder, why does the Indian surgeon have to have higher quality capability in heart surgery? For one thing, Indians tend to have bad hearts. Not bad people's hearts, but weak hearts. Genetically, Indians have weak hearts. Therefore, the same open heart surgery done on an Indian, the surgeon has to have a higher skill to reduce mortality. Also think about the hygienic conditions in India are not very good. Pollution in India is terrible. That means post-surgery, Indians tend to have a higher mortality. If you adjust for these risk factors, the quality achieved by NH Hospital in Bangalore is truly remarkable. I believe I told you NH Hospital does not deny care for any person who needs open heart surgery. They guarantee universal access. If someone cannot pay, they do it either free or at a highly subsidized rate. So much so, only 2/3 of the patients pay. 1/3 of the customers are either provided the service at a subsidized rate or even given free. I believe I told you this is not a charitable hospital. This is not charity. This hospital is a profit-maximizing firm, just like General Electric or Xerox or any of the corporations in the private sector. In fact, private equity investors have invested in NH Hospital and they want excellent returns. And by the way, the profit margin and the return on investment for NH Hospital is amongst the highest amongst cardiac facilities in the world. Imagine you're a profit maximizing firm, yet you give away your products either free or for highly subsidized rates for 1/3 of your customers. And for the remaining 2/3 of your customers, you still charge 50 times less than what we charge in the US, and still cover 100% of the costs of your customers on 2/3 paying customers, and still return on investment better than any hospital in the world. The person who started NH Hospital, his name is Dr. Devi Shetty. Dr. Devi Shetty used to be the private cardiac surgeon for Mother Teresa. That is where he got this notion of compassion. You have to do more with less. You have to do a lot more with lot less for a lot of people. I want you to take a minute. I want to show you a short video. I want you to take a minute and understand who Dr. Devi Shetty is and the kind of healthcare facility that he has created.
With a population of over 1 billion, affordable healthcare is out of reach of a vast majority of Indians. Nearly 700 million people in India have no access to specialist care, either due to lack of reach or lack of affordability.
When I came back to this country, there was no cardiac surgery. So hardly any cardiac surgery. There was nothing like a pediatric cardiac surgery. So we started the whole concept of pediatric cardiac surgery.
In less than a decade since inception, Narayana Hrudayalaya has become Asia's largest cardiac care center. Surgeons at the hospital perform a large number of different cardiac surgeries and procedures, including complex pediatric surgeries. Today, the hospital performs as many as 30 to 35 heart surgeries a day and 70 to 80 cardiac procedures. Narayana Hrudayalaya also does the largest number of pediatric heart surgeries in the world. Each day, about 2,500 patients visit the outpatient department of the Bangalore facility alone. And yet, the hospital has achieved a price point affordable to the average Indian.
We are essentially a heart hospital which proved to the world that with the $1,800 you can do a major heart operation. So essentially we want to reduce the cost of high-tech healthcare, make it affordable to the citizens of this world.
Those in need of surgery travel to Narayana Hrudayalaya for treatment, and the hospital treats patients from across the world.
My daughter has a hole in the heart. Well, let me preface this. I also have a dual citizenship in the U.S. Lived in the U.S. for the most part. My mother lived with me, and she has cases. She's somebody I had to take to the hospital very often. She has diabetes and a whole. So I took her. We lived in New York, so I've taken her to the best hospitals as far as I know. And when I came in here to their cardiac unit, I was blown away. I'm in awe. That's the only way I can explain it. I get back so emotional because there's so many more people than my daughter who can't even afford what I can afford. And in India, they're getting that help. And then it makes me wonder about countries like mine. So I'm praying for Dr. Shetty, am I saying his name right? And people like him to develop this module, not just for India, but for the world.
Ultra low cost, world-class quality, universal access. How does Dr. Devi Shetty and NH Hospital do it? As an example, NH Hospital and Dr. Devi Shetty buy the same piece of equipment that you are likely to see. The same CT scan, MR scan, PET scan, the same medical devices that you are likely to see in the best cardiac facilities in the world, whether it is Mayo Clinic or Mass General or Cleveland Clinic. That means he can also guarantee the same world-class quality. But his costs are also going to be very high. How come his costs are 50 times less? Because he uses his equipment 50 times more. Isn't this not what we learned in industrial organizations 100 years ago? Isn't this not what Henry Ford taught us at the turn of the 20th century? If you can mass produce automobiles, Henry Ford said, you can bring the cost per automobile down. Essentially, Dr. Devi Shetty has taken principles that we already know in the manufacturing sector and applying it to healthcare. He is just mass producing open heart surgery. He is producing open heart surgery on an assembly line. When I mentioned this to my American friends, that NH Hospital is actually doing open heart surgery on an assembly line, thereby bring the cost per patient down. You know what their first reaction is? You guessed it right. Their first reaction is, if you mass produce healthcare, quality has to decline. I ask why. We don't complain about the quality of automobiles when they are mass produced. What is so special about healthcare? Actually, when you think about it, when you mass produce open heart surgery, quality actually increases significantly. Why? Because the cardiac surgeons in NH Hospital do so many cardiac surgeries. They are at the cutting edge of their fields. They have seen all possible complications. Not only that, there is no one type of cardiac surgery. Let's say, for the sake of argument, there are 10 different types of cardiac surgeries. Because of very high volumes, the surgeons in NH Hospital in Bangalore, India, can specialize in one of the 10 types of cardiac surgery. Specialization leads to high quality. Isn't this not what we learned in manufacturing? Essentially, Dr. Devi Shetty is taking best practices from manufacturing and using it as next practice, box 3 innovation in healthcare. I want you to contrast the way NH Hospital in Bangalore operates versus how a US hospital operates. If you walk into a US hospital, what you're likely to find is a very sophisticated imaging center. In that imaging center, there will be appliance-sized machines, $1 million X-ray machine, $2 million CAT scanner, $3 million MR machine used 15% of the time. 85% of the time, it is sitting idle. Why? Because in America, we believe, as Americans, we have a birthright to have that MR machine available whenever we need it. I ask why. If Ford Motor Company ran its factory that way, its most expensive piece of machinery, it keeps 85% idle. Will we tolerate that level of inefficiency? Ultra low cost, world-class quality, universal access. This is the box 3 business model NH Hospital has created in India. Here is the real deal. In 2014, Dr. Devi Shetty and NH Hospital have already opened a 140-bed cardiac facility in Cayman Islands. And Cayman Islands, as you know, is a 1-hour flight from Miami. And by the way, this cardiac facility in Cayman Islands, the plan is to grow it into a 2,000-bed cardiac facility in a period of a decade. A 2,000-bed cardiac facility will be the largest cardiac facility in the world. And Cayman Islands is a 60-minute flight from Miami. So this cardiac facility is targeted at American patients. He wants to demonstrate how you can do open heart surgery within a 60-minute flight from the US. At a fraction of the cost it takes to do open heart surgery inside the US. For medical tourism, why should Americans travel 6,000 miles to Bangalore, India? Let's bring India into America. A second example of reverse innovation, where the innovation starts in a poor country like India and then begins to transform the lives of people in a rich country like the US.